Books transform lives. They are bridges from your current self to your best self. And who better to show you the way than those already there? Welcome to the book I am reading on Radio Now, a weekly sit down with accomplished Nigerians where we find out what they are currently reading and how that book shapes their worldview. My friend today is a one-woman army, Ugoma Adegoke, creative entrepreneur, founding director, and chief curator of Blue Mart, a gallery in Lagos. So thank you for sitting with me today, Ugoma. So we're going to go straight into it. Mm-hmm. What book are you reading currently, and who the author is, and why you're reading that book?
I'm reading The Prophet. It's written by Kahlil Gibran. Why am I reading it? Well, it's a book I actually read pretty much every 6 to 8 months.
Any reason why?
Because it's probably one of the most compact collation of just lucid thoughts that I think everybody needs in life, you know. Whether you're religious or not, as long as you accept that you are a spirit, you know, because we all have spirit in us and there's a soul. It's a great guide. So there's just references to almost every aspect of life. It's a great guide. It's beautifully written. It's romantic, but there's serious nuggets that I think every adult or anyone who's surgeoning should refer to, without holding like a big, you know, Bible or Quran, because I feel that there is a lot of reference to, you know, sort of living a good life, which of course the big books and the holy books teach, but he's done something very interesting. Clearly a spiritual man, but also a beautiful writer, and has made it so compact and easy to just follow. So I actually give this book out a lot.
I wonder why I haven't gotten a copy yet.
Yours is in the mail. Yours is in the mail.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I was just curious about the 6 months thing. I thought you
It's
had
like
to do with
refresher.
Okay.
Do like a refresher.
Okay.
How you kind of refer to, you know, just things that like pieces of writing that you just don't forget. You know, you keep going back. So I think a good book is like that, you know.
I haven't ever been able to finish it. I haven't finished it only because I encounter it and then I forget and I come back, and then suddenly with this program I've had to like delve into it again. And just this morning, it's like light bulbs were just going on in my head.
Bulb attack.
So tell me, what is the most impactful, you know, thing that this book has done for you? Or are there areas in life that, you know, it has changed your perception?
Yeah, I think in fact the book is about perception. It's about teaching you to how to perceive. So it's actually like a great guide on how to reframe your mind about the things that, you know, we almost have gotten traditionally used to, whether through education or miseducation. And it's like it's a beautiful unlocking to just being kind to yourself, which every human being needs, with the pressures of daily life, working, hustling, competing, loving, losing. It's like a guide as to how to frame your mind so that you can go through life with minimal suffering. So for me, it's like a meditation. It's a guide. It's art. It's wisdom, and it's easy, you know. So it has helped me, you know. It's helped me. It's also quite funny because he's quite comedic in some of the twists that makes you even feel like, I should have known that. And I think the ultimate, you know, lesson for me is just that relativity is the center of life. Everything is relative. Everything is relative. It's always moving, but it's relative. And so depending on how you want to assess a situation, you can look at it as half full, the cup as half full, or half empty. And that tool is available to every single human soul. So you have to then practice how to see life. And it's freedom. And it's actually literally, this is like a how not to suffer is what I think they should have called.
That's the Harvard name or the street name for it.
If we were to do a street name, you know, just how to not suffer.
All right, so I like how you say it's the unlocking. You know, it liberates and all of that. Let's find out some of the views on let's say love, for instance, or where would you rather start?
I could start from love,
okay,
because anybody that knows me knows that I love love.
Okay,
and it's not always in the romantic sense. I mean, romantic love is wonderful, but love is what we all share. Humans, friendships. So we'll start with love.
Okay.
And it's, as I said earlier, it's full of gems. So it's one of those books that almost every page has a eureka phrase.
Yes.
You know, and so this is why I say it's something you read every 6 months. You just keep reading it. You need to have it like a devotional. So, of course, the general concept of the book is that there's a fictional man who's living in a village. He's been living amongst them for years and years, and it's now time for him to go.
Mm-hmm.
Which, again, is a nice metaphor for everything we're doing in life. And as he goes, he gives them his nuggets. He's going, and they say, "Oh, sir, teach us about this, teach us about that, tell us about this." So tell us about love. He says, "When love beckons to you, follow him. Though his ways are hard and steep, and when his wings enfold, you yield to him. Though the sword hidden among his pinions may wound you, and when he speaks to you, believe in him, though his voice may shatter your dreams as the north wind lays waste the garden. For even as love crowns you, so shall he crucify you. Even as he's for your growth, he is also for your pruning." You know, I said to you about this relativity. So it's
right
throughout
there.
the book.
It's just so beautiful.
I mean,
it's
even as love crowns you, so shall he crucify you. I mean, how profound is that?
On marriage.
On marriage, this is one I love. And you know, marriage is a beautiful institution, I believe. He says, the part I love says, "You shall be together when the white wings of death scatter your days." Of course, this talks about, you know, being together till death do you part. "Aye, you shall be together even in the silent memory of God. But let there be spaces in your togetherness."
That is so key.
It's profound. "Let there be spaces in your togetherness. Love one another, but make not a bond of love." Must not be bond. "Let it rather be a moving sea between the shores of your souls. Fill each other's cup, but drink not from one cup." This dance, again, we're talking about keep giving, taking, but in beautiful independence.
Respecting your space, keeping that little space in
and
between.
It's beautiful, but it doesn't mean there's no love. So sing and dance together and be joyous, but let each one of you be alone, even as the strings of a lute are alone, though they quiver with the same music. And stand together, yet not too near together. For the pillars of the temple stand apart, and the oak tree and the cypress grow not in each other's shadow. This is, for me, one of those.
Can I reduce that to say, two hearts that beat as one do not necessarily have to be in the same exact space or in one space.
Yes.
They can be,
It's not one
like
heart.
the temples or like the pillars of the temple, spaced out, but all supporting the structure.
If they were together, the thing would fall apart. If they were too near,
that's right.
You know, so it's even the visual. So like when I say it's easy, it's like it just when you think of a visual, it just clears it up for you. And some of those, as I said, like miseducations that we have sort of become accustomed to, about, you know, always like choking each other.
What do you think? Do you think we don't read enough, so we don't find these nuggets? Because really, if we read, if a lot of us read as much as we should be, then these nuggets will be a lot more available.
Honestly, I think we don't read enough, but I also think we don't talk enough about what we read.
Okay.
You know, so that's also, for those who read, you know, it's also important to share. So yes, it is true, we're not reading enough, but for those who even have the wisdom and are lucky to, you know, discover these nuggets. It's your duty to share. Again, even in the spirit of love. So, which is why you buy books and you give books and you gift books to people that you feel will be impacted by them, and you have conversations around it. Like, this is wonderful what we're doing now, because at least without even reading, there's some curiosity has been lit. So
I mean, it's curious that you say we don't share enough. I'm reading a book right now called "Steal Like an Artist," and the author says, it's good to share your knowledge, because when you share, really, you don't lose anything. You inspire a lot more people to create, and therefore there is a lot more for humanity.
Abundance.
Yes,
it's essential.
We are in the workspace. How has this book, improved your work life?
I mean, the book, anything that impacts your life, your way of thinking, your, I guess, sense of mindfulness, just about going about your life, will affect all the aspects of your life, of which work is an important one. And I also want to actually read something about work.
Please.
Because, let me find it on work. Because work is, I always say to people, people say I'm a workaholic. I don't know what that means. But I feel it's an honor to work. When people say you work so hard, I say it is a gift. It's a pleasure and a delight to even have work, and then to have work you like and you do it well. I consider it a duty, which this helped me understand even better in lay terms. So of course, the plowman asked him, the prophet, "Speak to us of work." And he answered, saying, "You work that you may keep pace with the earth and the soul of the earth. For to be idle is to become a stranger unto the seasons, and to step out of life's procession that marches in majesty and proud submission towards the infinite." Which for me obviously just says it is the order of life and the world that we must work and be in tandem with the earth, because it is in so doing that the earth keeps moving. Later on in that verse, he says, "You have been told also that life is darkness, and in your weariness you echo what was said by the weary. And I say that life is indeed darkness, save when there is urge. And all urge is blind, save when there is knowledge. And all knowledge is vain, save when there is work. And all work is empty, save when there is love. And when you work with love, you bind yourself to yourself and to one another and to God." I want to talk a bit about that part, because it's this cyclical nature of, I think, everything that is a trait we're meant to embody as good humans traversing this world in our 70, 80, 90 years. So everything is everything.
If the Lord tarries.
If the Lord is gracious. But it's all about everything is everything. So even the work still needs the love, because you must work with full intention, because otherwise it's not recognized as work, because it will not be work if you don't do it with all of your heart and all of your soul. It is now the opposite of work. It builds into the darkness. It's now almost like regressive and destructive, and work is a beautiful thing. It says later, work is love made visible. So it's the tactile version of this, spiritual idea. But work is love made visible, because with our hands, it's what we make with our hands that we can say this is the physical totem of this spiritual idea. And if you cannot work with love, but only with distaste, it is better that you should leave your work and sit at the gate of the temple and take alms of those who work with joy. For if you bake bread with indifference, you bake a bitter bread that feeds but only half man's hunger.
I earlier on I read that excerpt, and I see in pictures. As an actor, I see in pictures, and I can see humanity moving, and the guy who isn't moving in tandem, even isn't moving, and you decide to stand apart, you obstruct the flow.
Yes,
it's just
like me get out of
I
here.
mean, this is wisdom, incredible.
It is. And this is why I say it's like, and every time it's new. I'm reading it like it's not new. You see all the papers and everything. I've destroyed the whole book. But it's like, so even when you're having rough days, you want to do something haphazardly, you cannot, it's not even an option to do something haphazardly or without fullness. It's better you leave it.
I'm going to just digress a little. With work, you're a woman in the art world, a space that has been dominated in the past, or even to a large extent until now, by people by mostly men. And who work in distaste, to use the prophet's words. What's your experience? What do you find as you navigate, knowing that you are very wholesome, you believe in the theories and what we have just read, working with your whole being and making sure that you are aware. Do you find that you're working in a place where there are pushbacks or people who just do not want to get on?
Oh yes,
wholesomely.
It's a very toxic environment, but like the art world, the art environment or the art world is not different to its father. So the entire ecosystem of Nigeria is toxic. So it's, of course, the medical profession will be toxic, the art world will be toxic. I don't know anybody who has anything wonderful and harmonious to say now, but we're working to make sure that we return ourselves to harmony, everybody in their camp. But what I do find is that, again, these tenets, which I've decided to adopt for my life and therefore my work, always come to help me, even in difficult situations. Yes, there's generally a misogynistic spirit that has been in our country, in our workplaces, and all that. But you see, this thing about mindfulness, which this book, for example, essentially, is defining, long before the term became cool, because this was written in 1923, is that when you are living with very conscious mindfulness, you have an opportunity to step out of what the mess is and to apply these good practices. And even, I can tell you that even the most difficult, the rudest, the most licentious, the most, cantankerous client or situation or artist will break. You will break under my power
of love
and decency. You will break under my dedication to doing the good work. Let's even leave the money, because also get caught up in the transactionality of things. It's like, no, this is not what we're here to do. If we are working truly and fully, pushing and elevating art, which is my job, elevating the receivership of it, the knowledge, cultivating sort of open minds and open hearts and the spirit of abundance and good behavior, then the money will follow. It's inevitable. It's inevitable.
It's a natural course.
So I find that even with those difficult things, I just decide that it's not difficult.
I think that ultimately also, when you are very wholesome in your approach to life, you begin to attract people of similar minds. I find on a personal level that every time that I've had to work, no matter how bad people start off with me, in a matter of days,
they calm down.
They begin to change. Just by being prompt. My work demands promptness. Just by being prompt, I have noticed that all my friends, the ones that can't be prompt, they will say, "Oh, if you are giving RMD time, you better make sure that you are going to be there." I get to people's parties before they come, before they get there. So yeah, I see it. Who would you recommend this book to? The Prophet. Since it's so impactful, would you recommend it? Who would you recommend it to?
I mean, the obvious answer is everybody, but
that can read.
Everybody that can read, or the audiobooks, everybody that can listen. At least, assuming we can see and hear.
Okay.
of course, you wonder. I think it's been translated into 20 languages. I'm sure it's Braille for the blind. But the point is that I think it's for everybody. I also especially think that given what the world has just gone through and is going through, where essentially everything to do with our existentiality has been shaken to the core, and we've all, in fact, I won't say we've all gone through COVID. I think we're going through COVID, and I think the effects of the pandemic and lockdowns and businesses and
it's still
deaths,
unraveling.
It will unravel for a very long time to come. I do not think it's a 3-year healing process. It's a traumatic thing that's happened to the entire world. And so, again, where these kinds of texts come in handy is to help us really reform, restart, because a lot of things that we thought are not. We've come to find that a lot of things we believed don't matter. Everything is shaken up, belief systems, physical states, mental states. So I feel like it's a great almost like 101. As I said, 101 on how to
navigate
think,
life,
how to live, how to live with as little pain as possible, and that pain is usually self-imposed, and how to transcend. First of all, to also realize that you're human, but you're a soul, and to sort of you start to play in those frequencies where you're focused on the soul, even though you're a physical thing, because that's the only thing that truly matters.
Thank you very much. We'll hold that. We're gonna go on a break, and when we come back, we'll play again.
Let me introduce a new wave, we change the rules. A new app that you can use. Wanna change your life, then choose. Save money and invest. Pay bills when you decide. Safe and secure for you when you need a loan. Request it. One bank for you, one bank for me. So chill and enjoy the ride. Stop the current account on it. One bank.
One Bank by Sterling. Open a current account and start transacting.
Welcome back. I'm Richard Mofe-Damijo, and I'm still here with Ugoma Adegoke. And this is the book I'm reading on Radio Now 95.3 FM. Okay, so now, Ugoma, let us play a game. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, here's the question. What is the name of the oldest bank still in existence? A. J.P. Morgan. B. Banca Monte de Apache de Siena. C. Bank of China.
It must be B.
B.
It must be Siena.
Oh yeah, Banca Monte.
I can't
de
pronounce that, and I don't know this bank. I just guessed that it's
it sounded old enough.
It's Italy. It's Italy. So it's the Romans for sure.
Yes.
There's no JP Morgan that was involved in anything then, and definitely no banking in China.
Thank you very much, and that is correct.
Okay.
And you didn't even have to call a friend.
Oh, my friends are sleeping now.
I want to thank you so much for coming to the book I'm reading. Hopefully, when next you switch to, when next we need to talk to you about another book, we'll knock on your doors again. Thank you for coming.
I'm very glad to have been here, and I look forward to coming back. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.
Let me introduce a new wave, we change the rules. A new app that you can use. Wanna change your life, then choose. Save money and invest. Pay bills when you decide. Safe and secure for you when you need a loan. Request it. One bank for you, one bank for me. So chill and enjoy the ride. Stop the current account on it. One bank.
One Bank by Sterling. Open a current account and start transacting.
It's story time. On the previous edition, we traced the origins of banking to 4,000 years ago in Babylon, which is in modern-day Iraq. From storing gold in Babylonian temples and being run in tandem with state and religious affairs, the churches and temples were eventually replaced by banking families. This was most prominent in Renaissance Italy. Today, we'll learn about the families who ran some of the earliest banks. At the time, Florence, Venice, and Genoa were some of the most affluent cities in the world and home to some of the richest merchants and trading families. Among these were the Sardi and the Peruzzi families, who dominated banking in 14th century Florence and established branches in many other parts of Europe. Before entering the banking industry, the Peruzzis traded in quantities large enough to satisfy countries and empires. The family had many successful businesses in the textile, spices, drugs, and other industries. They were big, bigger than big. If the Forbes list existed in their day, the Peruzzis will be somewhere at the top. They were deeply connected with the Catholic military order, which allowed them special access to ship luxuries that many other businesses didn't have. The Peruzzis eventually expanded into banking and owned a bank that had a capital base of more than 100,000 gold florins. The Florentine florin was a single coin equivalent to 24-karat gold. By the 1290s, the Peruzzi family owned the second largest bank in Europe and opened more branches in the Middle East. They became the go-to family for monarchs, nobles, and even religious leaders who needed to borrow money. But like kingdoms and empires, banks rose as often as they fell, and so did the Peruzzi Bank. This was as a result of overextending credit to their rich associates. For instance, King Edward III borrowed 600,000 florins from them and never paid back. They also lent money for a few wars, but were never paid back. By 1345, the banks were officially bankrupt. But the Peruzzi family still had money in other businesses and remained a household name till the mid-1800s. The Sardi family were also big in the 13th century banking. Their bank, Campagna del Sardi, was huge. By the 1300s, it had branches in virtually almost every street corner in Florence and across cities like Barcelona, Seville, Paris, Avignon, Nice, Marseille, London, Bruges, Constantinople, Rhodes, Cyprus, and Jerusalem. They were so rich that they sponsored explorations to unexplored territories. King Edward III, the Borboro that he was, borrowed 900,000 gold florins from the Sardi family bank, and like he did with the Peruzzi, he never paid back. But like the Peruzzi family, the Sardi remained significant and notable in society for a long time. Next time, we will learn about another banking family, the Medicis. Well, that's it on our show today. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Radio Now Studios, and text TBIR to 080-968-22595 on WhatsApp to join our book club. Oh, before I forget, here's our quote for the week. It is from the book Ugoma is currently reading, The Prophet by Kahlil Gibran. Beauty is eternity gazing at itself in a mirror, but you are eternity and you are the mirror. Wow. The book I'm reading is presented by Radio Now with support from Sterling Bank. I'm Richard Mofe-Damijo, and my guest today was Ugoma Adegoke, a culture entrepreneur, and she was talking about a book she loves, The Prophet by Kahlil Gibran. See you on the next episode of The Book I Am Reading.